I was a guy in a shop trying to do the best I could, caring about what I make, and I had no backup. You know, I felt very vulnerable, and I think that that's what I felt sick to my stomach, is like, I got nowhere to go. I can't push anybody in front of me to solve it. There's no consultant that's gonna fix that. No matter how shitty it was, I always showed up. I'm Michael Joy. This is a long, short story. Under our header, Absolute Joy. I take a deep breath because the story I want to tell, it's not that it's that spectacular, but for me, it had a great impact. What it was is there was a program called Gallery 37, and the city had endowments. They had a children's program to create this mural. It was maybe 12 or 13 panels that were maybe the size of 2/3 of this table. And they were these organic panels, and they kind of fit together like a puzzle piece, you know, one wrapped around the other. It was kind of blobby and cartoony. But for me, I was very happy to have the job. It was a great job because I had the mold and the casting, and because I could do a cold casting that was with the 4-ton MG with the infused copper powder with a patina. A patina is a chemical, a liquid chemical that you can apply to a metal that creates a reaction. It creates an oxidizing reaction. And a patina in this instance was green. It was verdigris. It's a way to make something look antique. The ultimate destination was a women's shelter downtown, and the goal was to have this very long mural on this big open brick wall at the front entrance. They brought the sculptures to my studio. We started making the molds for several weeks, and then we started making the castings. And at the time, you know, we were spraying a patina on the casting, and then the clients came back, the directors. Ooh, classy lady, I went on a date with her. She spoke like 6 languages. She was, anyways, I forgot about her. What was her name? Anyways, they all wanted to have the sculpture be more verdigris green. So I kept putting on more and more patina. Finally, they're like, that's it. So I sealed it up, and then they picked up the sculpture, and the sculptures were being installed into the wall. And I'd put these stainless steel pins on the back so that they could epoxy these into the wall. No big deal, they install it, it's great. The reveal, the dedication of the new building is coming up, and the mayor is gonna present that. The day or two before, I get a call, and they said, Michael, the patina is running off of the mural down the wall and onto the sidewalk. And it's this big green thing. And what it was, no matter how shitty it was, I always showed up. I'm like, I'll be right there. So I got in the car, and I just remember driving like this down Lakeshore Drive. You know, what am I gonna do? You know, I was like depressed in the car. And I got there, and it wasn't as bad as it sounded it was gonna be. And I'm like, you guys, there's nothing I can do. I'm like, they're epoxying onto the wall. What do you want me to do? And they're like, we don't know. What do you? I'm like, wash the wall, wash the sidewalk, because it rained the night before. And I immediately called the company that I was used the raw material, Hiram Ball, and he was very knowledgeable. And he said, Michael, he said, how much patina did you have on that? I said, a lot. And he said, probably when you sprayed on the sealant, patina absorbed the sealant, and it never bonded with the material under it. It was too thick. It's like spraying water on 2 inches of flour, right? The top creates this shell. I said, what do I do? And he said, well, for the presentation, go clean up, which is what I did. And then he said, after that, he said, it will weather and it will come to its own balance and its own patina, but you're just gonna have to keep rinsing it off every now and again. And it turns out that even bronze foundries have that trouble, because a buddy of mine owned a foundry, and he had these foxes, and they had put the foxes on these bridges. It washed down, the green washed down off the bronze. And then the city was upset, and he had to go scrub it. And he's like, this is nature, this is what happens to these sculptures. So I was in the boat that was common, but I didn't know it was common. And they didn't want it to look like they'd invested all this money in something that was cheap. The moral of this story is that sometimes what I thought was gonna be devastating, a complete do-over, actually turned out to be a little spritzer. Just clean up, get it good enough for the press, and then move on and let nature take its course with the sculpture. There was really no liability that I could accept for it. They asked me to make it that green. I said, I've never put on this much patina. Are you sure? Now, it doesn't mean they're liable for it. It just means that we were both out of our depth. They're thinking they're buying something that's to look the way they want it without any technical or chemical concern. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm in further than I don't know how this is gonna look. We were kind of both this way. But the nice thing is the clients themselves, Sister Cities, they were classy. They just needed it to look good for press. And they understood my philosophy of let it rain, let it go through a season or two, and then we'll have a story. Worst case scenarios, we can cut it off of the building and it will be, you know, something will have to be done. But we ended up not having to do that. But I remember feeling sick to my stomach, and it was such a bummer because when I got the job, I felt the opposite. It was like, I don't know, $24,000, $25,000, something like that. It was a big job for me. And then to have all of that, it's like crashing a beautiful jet. I was like, are you kidding me? No one died, but what was supposed to be amazing What happened? I made the mold right, I did the casting right, the installation was right, da 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 da. So you can't always see what's coming. This was a vulnerability that I had in business because I was the business. I think my sister helped me cast that, but I didn't have a boss to go to. I didn't have a legal department. I didn't have any of these things. I was a guy in a shop trying to do the best I could, caring about what I make, and I had no backup. You know, I felt very vulnerable, and I think that that's what I felt sick to my stomach, is like, I got nowhere to go. I can't push anybody in front of me to solve it. There's no consultant that's gonna fix that. And I had that feeling again and again and again for very different reasons in my business. And I think that that was a part of, I was ambitious to take jobs that I'd never done before, and yet I paid a price in some way for doing a job that I'd never done before. I don't think it was healthy for me. I think it created a lot of what I call BTSD, business traumatic stress disorder.